At 76, the life of André Rieu is often portrayed in sensational headlines as tragic or heartbreaking, but the reality of his situation is far more grounded, and in many ways, still centered on music, performance, and a remarkably sustained international career rather than any confirmed personal downfall. Known globally as the King of the Waltz, Rieu built his reputation by transforming classical and orchestral music into large, joyful live experiences that attract massive audiences around the world. With his Johann Strauss Orchestra, he created a unique concert style that blends classical tradition with theatrical presentation, allowing audiences to experience music in a celebratory and emotionally engaging way rather than in a formal or distant setting. This long-standing success has made him one of the most recognizable figures in modern classical crossover music, with a career spanning decades and continuing well into his 70s. The idea of tragedy in his life is often exaggerated by online narratives that focus on emotional framing rather than factual developments. In reality, there is no verified major personal crisis defining his current life. Instead, what exists is the natural progression of an artist who has spent a lifetime performing at a high level and is now in a stage where pacing, touring schedules, and workload are adjusted according to age and health considerations. This is a normal and expected part of any long performance career, especially for musicians who spend years traveling internationally and performing large-scale concerts. Rather than signaling decline, it reflects sustainability, an effort to continue doing what he loves while adapting to the realities of time. Rieu continues to tour and perform, maintaining a strong presence in the music world, and his concerts still draw large crowds who value the emotional experience he creates through live orchestral performance. While his schedule may be more selective than in earlier decades, his artistic identity remains unchanged. He is still actively involved in music production, orchestral direction, and international performances, which demonstrates continuity rather than withdrawal. The emotional tone some people interpret as hard to watch often comes from a broader human reaction to aging itself, seeing well-known figures move through time and change in visible but natural ways. However, these changes do not equate to tragedy. It is also important to recognize how public narratives can distort perception. Sensational headlines often rely on emotional phrases like heartbreaking or tragedy to attract attention, even when the underlying reality is routine or stable. In Rieu's case, there is no evidence of a hidden personal collapse or sudden loss defining his current life. Instead, there is a long-established career that continues in a slightly adjusted form, shaped by decades of artistic achievement and ongoing public engagement. His legacy itself adds another layer to how his current life is perceived. When an artist becomes strongly associated with a specific cultural identity, in his case, joyful orchestral performance, any visible change in pace or appearance can be misinterpreted as something more dramatic than it actually is. Yet Rieu remains consistent in his artistic mission, bringing orchestral music to broad audiences in an accessible, emotional, and celebratory way. That consistency is part of why his career has lasted so long and why his performances continue to resonate with audiences across generations. Ultimately, what is happening in André Rieu's life is not a tragedy, but a continuation of a remarkably successful and active musical journey. He remains engaged in his craft, connected to his audience, and present in the world of performance. The reality is less about heartbreak and more about longevity, an artist still doing what he has always done, just at a pace that reflects the natural passage of time.